Hey Audie, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, running through your webinar and your site just to provide some feedback based on our earlier conversation. Today, I pulled up the YouTube video. I haven't watched the whole thing. I don't think that would be of much use going through the 148 thing again. Although, I guess my question would be, did you do this one on YouTube workshop style? Because what I might do is listen to it while I'm doing some other work later tonight or tomorrow and see if I've got some more insights and feedback. But, couple things we need to start at the very beginning. If you are going to make your audience the dentists and orthodontists and if that's going to be your target audience and your niche, you want to rework your headline and your promises specifically for that audience, speaking directly to them. When I look at your headline, and don't take this the wrong way, but I don't know how to say it nicely, but it doesn't speak to anyone. It's too general and so broad and non-specific that nobody knows if you're talking to them. So if I don't know if you're talking to me or not, I'm not even going to notice in all the noise and all the clutter that's out there in the online world. Nobody will even notice it. That's why it's so important to go for that curiosity. But how to live your life's purpose without the chaos, I don't know. What does that mean to you? Because to me, it could mean a million things. The chaos in my personal life, the chaos in my business life, the chaos in all of the above. And if you're speaking to all of the above, then speak to it. But it's just such a broad and general category that by trying to speak to everybody, we end up not speaking to anybody. And this has been, honestly, for me personally, one of the hardest, most difficult things to determine is how to niche down. Because most of us entrepreneurs, and if we've been around for more than a little while, the younger guys, it's a lot easier for them. But those of us that have been around for decades, we've seen so much and learned so much and had so many different business experiences. It's really, really hard to pick one. But what we need to do is pick one, focus on that, perfect it, learn the strategies and the techniques and the lessons behind what gets the one to work. And then when we get the one to work, the next one's easier. And the one after that's even easier. I'm learning that as I go now helping other people do their webinars, it gets easier and easier because I've started to learn the process. I understand the process and the mindset and the thinking behind why Russell puts together each little piece exactly as he puts it together. And I'm finding the more I deviate from what he's got for a perfect plan, the less my stuff works. So the closer I am to mimicking what he's proven works, and I watch him, I follow him all the time. And when he does a different webinar and he does a different tack, I look at that and I watch and I see what he does. And then I ask myself, well, how does that apply to my webinar? Or how does that apply to the person's webinar I'm working on right now? Sorry, my battery is actually dead on my phone, so I'm hooked up to a battery pack. I guess we could look at me. I think I know how to switch it. No, apparently I don't. Maybe you can't switch it once you start talking. So I took a bunch of notes as we were talking about and going through the webinar today. The webinar is awesome. But like I told you earlier, if you're going to do that style webinar, you need to charge for it. It needs to be like the disappearing funnel or whatever it is. I can't remember. I still didn't look up to see what it's called. I was in my Actionetics, but I wasn't in my ClickFunnels today or lately. So whatever it's called, disappearing funnel is pretty sure what it's called, or the disappearing offer, because you're teaching way too much and sharing way too much information. Again, the key is the 3 secrets, and the 3 secrets coincide with the top limiting belief for the vehicle, the internal limiting belief, and the external limiting belief. And the more of these I've done, the more I've found the vehicle belief is always about my vehicle, my new opportunity, and why is my opportunity the best thing for them. So with the one thing, and I was thinking after we talked, I almost think you don't want to tell them that it's the one thing in your headline or in your secrets at all. You want to keep that as a mystery so that they can't guess that it's the one thing. You want to craft your headlines and your secrets so that they have so much curiosity. They have to get on this webinar with you because they're dying to know what is the thing that you're going to teach them and share with them on this webinar that is going to, whatever your main promise is. And your main promise is going to be specific to the target market that you select. I suspect that you need to get tighter on your target market. Successful business leaders, it's not a tight enough market to start with. I think the dental one's a better one, but now you have to ask yourself exactly how do I speak to this group of people? Who's the ideal? I think you've got your avatar. What do they want the most? What's their biggest problem? And how can you craft your secrets and your headline to be so curious that they're dying to get on this webinar with you? So again, that's for all secrets 1, 2, and 3. And I'll maybe think about those a little bit tonight. I'll try to sleep on those and see if I come up with anything. But again, secret number 1 is all about your vehicle. Because they're going to think that your vehicle is just like every other vehicle. So you need to convince them and think of all the objections they might have with respect to the one thing and have answers for that. You need to have your story that shows your epiphany of how you discovered that the one thing was the one thing that you needed through all of the other things that you looked at, all of the other studying, all of the other modalities that you've been a part of and investigated over the years. And how did you decide that the one thing? What was your epiphany? And again, you're going to take them on the emotional journey so that they actually have the same or a similar epiphany themselves. You're never going to tell them, and I do think you did use the word epiphany a couple times, but we're never going to use the word epiphany on our webinars. We are going to have them have an epiphany, but we're never going to tell them that they're having an epiphany. The trick and the secret to it is letting it be their idea. You're married. You know what I'm talking about. At least that's what I used to have to do with my husband. I always had to find a way to present what I wanted. And it's the whole inception thing, as if he thought it was his idea. And as soon as he thought it was his idea, anything I ever wanted got done. It's the same thing with these secrets. So your first secret's all about the one thing and proving to them that this is indeed a new opportunity for them. And they'd be crazy not to take advantage of it. Secret 2 is all about their internal belief. And their internal belief is always, or false belief is always, I can't do this. Yeah, I see it's working for other people, but I can't do it. And so if that's their number one limiting belief, or I'm not good enough to do it, or I don't deserve, which, you're dealing with successful people, so that might not be as big an issue for them, but they will have some kind of internal belief that you need to knock down. And again, you're going to share your story or somebody else's story that illustrates clearly for them and allows them to have another little mini epiphany. And then the same thing with the external belief. What is outside of them that is going to cause them to think that they can't make this work for them? This vehicle won't work in their life because of whatever their number one excuse would be. We're working on one for a business right now, and the number one excuse is going to be, if the external thing is my family and my wife or my spouse won't support me and doesn't believe it'll work and won't allow me to do it. And so that would be an external belief. That would probably be the most appropriate one for this situation. I'll have to think about that a little more too. And I'll have to think about it with your target market in mind, because I have not been thinking about this at all with respect to dentists as the market. The other thing that really, again, I think if you go back and you check Russell's format, some of the things, and if you take the teaching out of your webinar, this is going to, number one, shorten it up a whole lot. It's also going to get you into following Russell's format sooner. I think I mentioned it was about 37 minutes into it before you even got to saying who you were and kind of getting into the slides that Russell does, like within the first 5 minutes of the webinar. Remember, your webinar should follow sort of this time structure. The first 10 minutes are the introductory, preliminary, and your story. Then you're going to lead into each of the 3 secrets, and you're going to spend no more than 15 minutes each on each of those 3 secrets. And then you've got your stack for about 20 minutes. Your stack was excellent, with the exception of the halo effect. I think you got to come up with a different bonus, because the halo effect, for those of us that know, isn't a bonus. It's just something that happens automatically as a result of the transformation and the use of the one thing. So somebody just using the vehicle and then getting a benefit is not a bonus that you can sell to them in your stack. And not maybe a lot of younger people wouldn't see that, but it definitely tweaked my believability in the whole thing then. And so you don't want anything like that that will trip people up. I should look at my notes. Again, we talked about the worksheet that you had people do as pre-work. And the other thing I would say is you've got 4 things on your registration page, or your confirmation page rather, and you want that to be 1. You need to pick 1 thing, and I would recommend that you pick the biggest question that they have or something like that. But there's no way anybody on the confirmation page is going to do 4 things. So you have to pick the 1 thing. You only ever want 1 call to action on a page, because a confused mind always says no. And there's a lot of confusion there. I didn't even see the 4th thing until I went back and scrolled down later because of something else. I can't remember why I even went back there, but you definitely can't do that. The other thing is, if you want people to show up for the webinar, that 4-minute and some second video on your confirmation page, that should be like 30 seconds. Again, that's, hey, thanks for registering for the webinar. Can't wait to see you there. Make sure you're there so that you can blank, and you don't want them to know what it is. You don't want them to know that you're going to talk about the one thing and their life's purpose. You want to hint at it, but you don't ever want to tell them that, or there's no reason for them to show up on the webinar. Between your 4-minute video and this worksheet, that would be enough for me to say, okay, I already know enough about what this is about. I can go Google the book or get the book on Amazon, and that will solve my curiosity enough about this topic that I don't need to sit on an hour-and-a-half webinar and be sold something like coaching, because I know I can do this myself. That's just me being really honest about the way it's presented right now and what my response would be. And I actually probably would be your target market for this, because this kind of thing is right up my alley. I'm not a dentist, but it's still right up my alley, because I am to the point in my career where I do want to make a difference in the world. And I grew up thinking everybody wants to make the world a better place, but my mother informed me that no, that is indeed not true. And so I'm like, all right, I will live with the rest of the entrepreneurs that are naive and do want to make the world a better place. So the 4-minute video for step 1, target market, you got to research them. And I would say, if you know that there's one other person selling this using Russell's method, you need to get on his webinar and watch his webinar. And that is your number 1 person to funnel hack. Again, I said, if you get me that link, I will find out competitive information and tell you how well he's doing, or she, it might be a she. But that is your number 1 competitive analysis, and the number 1 person you should be funnel hacking or, modeling, because they're doing the exact same thing. The other thing is, I did go to the One Thing website. You need to be funnel hacking that, and you can be getting testimonials. Since you're a certified provider of this, I would be willing to bet that you can use some of their testimonials, and you can be replicating them on your webinar for sure to be promoting it. It's the other thing. You've got to have testimonials sprinkled throughout this presentation, because it is what makes it believable. People need to know that other people can actually do this and are having success with it. And the cool thing about this is they don't have to be your personal testimonials. They can be the testimonials from the website, because there is an overall website. But they definitely you need other people's stories and testimonies sprinkled throughout. And then I think you need more of your stories and more of how the journey is really going for you, because that's what people need to see too. What else was I thinking? Like I said, I think the stack is good, except for that halo effect. And that's easy enough. As you hone in on your target market, it'll become really clear and apparent what your bonuses need to be. We're putting together a new webinar for a new business that hasn't existed before. And as we were talking through our ideal customer and our avatar and who this is best for, and since it's a business that doesn't have a proven track record, it's really kind of hard because we don't have testimonials. We're going to have to go out and have a couple of people actually do this business, verify that the plan and the numbers work, and then get our stories that way. But what we're finding is that it gets easier and easier the clearer we are about who the person is that we're selling this to. And I would say that the overall thing that I see is the not enough narrow focus on the who and the what, who you're selling it to and what you're selling them. And you already know the what, and then your offer packages up your what and turns it into an offer. But it's just the way you're expressing the what. It has to be some kind of a curiosity-based thing. I'm trying to think of my, of course, because I'm thinking of it, I can't think of it. Let me grab one of my headlines is, I don't remember it now. My mind has been fried today. I've been doing way too much of this stuff today. But the headline, when you're looking at the headline from the webinars, all the webinars that I've been involved in, you cannot guess what the topic is. One is about automating your customer handling. Well, how in the heck can I guess what that is? I might think I know what that is, but I don't know what that is because there's several different ways you can automate customer handling, but it's not any of those because we created a whole unique system specifically for bars and restaurants. Well, I know bars and restaurants, like most businesses, want more customers, right? And they want to automate that because they're already overworked and they've got way too much on their plate. So my headline for that one is about automating and not putting more on your plate. But it doesn't tell you what it is. So people have to get on it, even if they're only on it for 5 minutes, because they're like, I don't know what this is. I want to find out what it is. And then my secrets don't really give it away either. So it's just important if you want people to show up to not let the cat out of the bag, not let them know what it is. So in your headline, in your secrets, you're going to hint at stuff, and you're hinting at the main benefit that they want, again, speaking to their main limiting beliefs. And it's all about the stories that you tell, because the stories are what carries the offer, if that makes sense. I might need to clarify that more for you or for everybody. I'm just learning the concept. I just have been having some ahas of my own as I've been doing more and more of these. So I will go through my notes and see if there's anything else I missed. I've got to break out my magnifying glass. And I will listen to this interview. I'll listen to this YouTube interview and see if it's different. But that should give you some things to work on. I would go, number one, decide on your target audience. When you decide on your target audience, get really clear on what their biggest pain points, problems, and don't assume that you know. Go actually do some research into the dentists. And yeah, based on your experience, but go and look at the bigger population. And you can narrow that down because you want people over 50 or whatever. Like my chronic pain stuff is designed for women over 50 because I'm a woman over 50, so I can be my own avatar. And it's easy to research. Now, I thought that I knew what women over 50 that have chronic pain were concerned about. And I think I shared that I did like my Ask campaign, I don't even know how many times, at least 6, but probably more, before I actually asked it in the right place. So I'd recommend, I don't know if they have Facebook groups for dentists or not, but if they do, I would go to those and I would see what kind of things they're talking about in those groups and go ahead and really find out what their pain points are and their questions and their concerns, and then match how the one thing can blow those out of the water for them, because I'm sure that it can. I'm going to stop now because I've been talking for a long time and it's really boring. No offense. It's just really boring looking at my screen. And I see I've got about 4 people buzzing in to ask me questions. So I am going to answer their questions. I will look at this a little further. I'll run through my notes, but I think that gives you some stuff to work on. If you have any questions, reach out to me through Facebook. My email is ezhubz, HUBZ, @gmail.com. You can email me. I will tell you, I only check my email like twice a day. So that might be slower than catching me on Facebook Messenger, or you can just give me a call too. My number is 715-523-2220, and I will help you any way I can. Thanks for sharing your webinar with me. I so appreciate it. Talk soon. Bye.